Hi, back again, www.Enochian.org. Another rant. Far too many practitioners go on about, this can't be done with magic. This never happens. That cannot be done with magic. And they go on about it. They're actually worse than mundane folks. They're worse than non-practitioners. They're worse than atheists. I've heard far too many magicians poo-poo actual results, actual interesting, strange things happening, like physical manifestations, or candles doing crazy stuff, or fire doing crazy stuff, or just odd things with the elements, just things that your average mundane person cannot see or experience, though honestly they do. How many mundane folks do you know that, when they're sitting around the campfire at night, a little tipsy from a few beer, talking about, and this one time I saw such and such. It's like, whoa, hey, wait a minute. Hold on. I thought you were an atheist. I thought you didn't believe in any of this. But this one time. So many people have a one-time experience seeing ghosts or creatures or little imps or something that they've had happen. Most people have had this happen. And some of us turn into practitioners because of it. Because we're, curious. We want to see more, know more. What's going on around here? And then other people just get a little terrified and close off and say, none of this exists. And then if they have an experience now in their present life, they say, oh, that didn't really happen. That was just the wind, or I was just seeing things, or I was just imagining things, or I haven't had enough sleep. So many excuses. And the worst part is that practitioners are just as bad. We all write it off because, we're told growing up, though, in this current population and generation, they're told less so, but still the general belief is in the Western culture that these spirits don't actually exist. They're not important, you're crazy, or that the spirits are evil. One of the two, which isn't healthy in my opinion at all, but that's what we're led to believe, and that's what we hear nonstop as children, especially in the United States, unfortunately. I guess Christianity took over far too long, and I mean the type of Christianity who thinks these things are evil. So it has been changed to believe that it is either evil or does not exist. In Canada, it's more the fact does not exist. Too many atheists here. And unfortunately, practitioners are just as bad. You join any magical order, and most people say, oh, spirits don't physically manifest. I would say they don't usually. It's very uncommon, but not like it doesn't happen. Not like most of us haven't seen something at least once or twice in our lives. Now, unfortunately, it most often tends to happen when we least expect it. I did an evocation once. Wrapped it up and thought, well, I'm done. That's it. The spirit didn't show up, whatever. Didn't sense a presence or anything. And it was late at night, so I'm going to go to sleep for the night. Yeah, 2 or 3 hours later, I'm woken up by what was definitely a physical presence. And silly me, I still regret it, was so tired. I'm like, oh, please come back in a couple hours. I'm too tired. Oh, well, so much for that. But I was wide awake for a second and then went right back to sleep, and I woke up later and went, crap, I should have gotten up and had a conversation. Anyway, most people have seen something deep in the woods. A lot of folks won't go into the woods, and I think it's due to fear. Not everybody says it's fear of wild animals, but I think it's fear of the spirits. We're not used to seeing the spirits physically, even just quick glimpses. We're just not used to that. And that terrifies us on a primal level. Well, most people. Some people get more interested by it, but on a primal level, we're a little terrified of it because we don't know what to do. We don't know how to fight back. At least animals, get out your revolver and call it good. But what do you do with a spirit? That doesn't work. And you don't know. And you don't know if they're good-natured, the ones you run into, or not. But how many people out there have seen the red eyes in the forest? And I don't mean of an animal. I mean red eyes of something that's definitely more humanoid shaped or demon shaped or whatever, or little spirit shaped. How many people have seen that? Or how many people have seen a dead person? Usually it's quickly. Usually we don't see them for that long. It was only once that I saw a dead person for half an hour straight, and I'll admit I was scared shitless. I'm all like, how am I going to leave the graveyard? They're in the way. They're in the front of the door. Ah! Just sat there calmly going, yeah, they'll vanish soon, because all spirits I see, they vanish quickly. Half an hour later, okay, they're not vanished yet. Just have to walk by them. It all went well, but it took a little bit of guts to get up and walk by them and go, oh, hey, just passing through. Anyway, generally, and that's not very common. It's not like this happens every day or every month. Kind of neat if it did. Though humanity might all be in the nut house if it happened every month. But we all block it out. How many times have you been with a person and they experience and they see something during the ritual, and then later on go, nothing happened, I didn't see anything, you're imagining things. Meanwhile, the time they're fully going on about what they saw, how they saw it, and so forth. And everybody's seen stuff when they were a kid. Everybody. It is very rare to find somebody that saw nothing as a kid. You know, before we're trained out of seeing things, trained not to, we've all seen something. But the common mentality of practitioners of spirits don't manifest, magic does not work that way, supernatural things don't actually happen, you don't actually teleport to different locations. Yeah, right. Not that it's common, but yeah, right. Come on, read any old texts. Read any old Buddhist texts or Hindu texts or whatever. It's like the more spiritual ones. It's common. Well, common in a happens by people who are practitioners for their lifetime, and doesn't happen every day, but happens. This is common enough that it's written about. So it's not like it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't happen on command. It's not like, oh, I command you to appear physically. Yeah, it doesn't happen that way. The grimoires might make it sound like it happens that way, but in my experience, it's more of a sudden, oh, I wasn't expecting that kind of way, which is kind of neat, actually. But things happen, and strange things happen. And sometimes magic happens the second you start it. Or you find out it happened half an hour before you started it. Or you will find some pretty fantastical things happen that people say, oh, magic doesn't do that. Magic can't do that. Yeah, right. Like I said 100 times already in this lecture, not every day, but it can happen. So stick with it. And don't rely on that, though. Don't get obsessed with having to have physical manifestations or having to have fantastical things happen, because that'll just put you on the wrong path. You'll be too obsessed about that instead of just getting stuff done. Results are the important bit, right? So don't worry about if you're going to see them physically. Worry about, are they going to get done what you want them to get done? And if you see them physically, that's kind of cool. But does it make the magic any stronger? Not necessarily, not usually. Sometimes, but in general, not always. So if you worry about that too much and think about that too much, oh, I haven't had all the fantastical things happen that the Evermelon book says. Yeah, but you've had at least one or two of them, haven't you? And if you're just worried about the fantastical things that happen, are you in this for entertainment? Are you in this for actually magic and getting things done? Focus, come on, focus, folks. But at the same time, don't write off this stuff. Just because something hasn't happened to you does not mean it hasn't happened. Or just because you happen to not remember it, where we stuff things away. You know how people stuff traumatic experiences away? Well, in our society, running into a spirit or fantastical magic things is a traumatic experience. So we repress those and stuff those away quite often. So just because you don't actively right now remember something does not mean it didn't happen or can't happen. So keep that in mind. So keep an open mind to what can happen, but at the same time, don't obsess over it and don't require it. Just get to work. Just work the magic daily. If you want a certain result, just keep working towards it. Anyway, another rant from www.Enochian.org. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Talk to you soon.